All right, guys, we're going to start working on the electrical system on the 8162T. And the first thing we're going to do is put in a new key switch and rewire just the points, the coil to the battery, just that circuit, solenoid circuit right now. We won't bother with charging or anything. For now, we just got to see if we can get some spark and turn it over. So let's see what we got. To refresh your memory, someone put all these ridiculous toggle switches and push button switches and all this crazy stuff in here. So what we're going to do is junk that. I think I'll save the toggle and I can replace the broken headlight switch with that for now. But I got a brand new battery ignition key switch here, which you can tell is battery because it has a B and it has, you know, a I terminal for ignition. So anyways, that's where we're at. So I loosened up this nut on the switch here. I don't know what this guy was doing, but he put in this push button switch, which I assume was just to start it. And I think what they did is they had the toggle switch up here was an on off for the coil. And that's how they were making this thing work. Definitely some redneck engineering, as we'd call it. So what we're going to do is, I really wanted to make all new wires, but I might still, but all right, so I got the ignition switch off, this push button, and I'm pretty sure all this guy was doing was that he had that push button switch going to the solenoid, and hitting this would crank the motor over, and then this on-off switch here would just turn the coil on and off, which would kind of be like starting the thing. Now you see all these ridiculous wires down here. This hot here was going to the battery, and the other side here was back feeding back to the voltage regulator. So that's how that was working. This here must be going to the coil, this black wire. We'll double check that. And this little red wire was just getting the hot wire from, I guess, you know what, it's a little different than I thought, but if this switch was on, then you'd be able to crank it, because that's bridging the hot to this wire here, which is the switched wire, and this must go to the coil on the back side. So anyways, we're gonna take all this crap out of there and just put in the stock index style key switch. But this was some good, you know, engineering, you know, redneck engineering, as we'll call it. Okay, so I forgot about the snake's nest back here, the wires, as we'll call it. So I really didn't want to use all these DPO wires here, dumb previous owner wires. So I think what we're going to do is check out how the heck this thing is wired here. Here's our coil over here. And this red wire here quickly turns black. That's going to the points. This wire here must be the one that's going to the key switch. So what I'll do is I'll get my continuity tester and we'll check it. I have a feeling this 10-footer here is for the charging system, and that doesn't matter to anything that we're doing, so that's good. Okay, so got my nice Klein meter going here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to wedge it on here somehow. I don't think I can do this holding the phone. Let's see. We got to get one lead on the front here and one lead on the back. Let's see if I can just... Yeah, I got to do this. Okay, that was the correct wire. It did have continuity, it beeped. So what we're going to do is cut this end off here and just crimp on a regular end for a minute that can go in the key switch. These are going to be temporary wires. Once we can know that things work right, then we'll replace them with new wires, because these things suck. Okay. All right, so let's get to it. So I'm using my iWis crimper set here, which I really like. So we'll just snip that off. Is it going to be long enough to reach the key? Yeah, it's going to be just barely long enough. So we'll strip this back and Man, this is a thin wire, guys. I'm already not liking this. I'm already thinking that I should just run a brand new wire back there, but I'm not gonna. Let's see. This copper inside this wire is very corroded, and obviously that's not going to be helpful to things. What the heck? Let's see. Alright, so we got a female end here, 1/4 inch terminal to put on there. Let's see. Crimp this baby on there. When we do this for real, we'll use the Packard connector that would normally go on the key switch, but for now, just for purposes of, you know, trying to get this thing to work. These things suck sometimes, guys. Just for purposes of trying to get them to work, we're just going to go with this for now. Okay, that's good enough, I think. Okay, now, so that will be the hot wire. This one here is coming from the battery, so we'll snip this one off. And that will go to our B terminal. So let me, this is a better wire. This is a thicker gauge, which it should be. Ideally, you'd have a fuse in here so that if something went haywire, the fuse would blow and you wouldn't smoke your wiring system. Okay, so now we got 2 out of 3. And the last one we need is the solenoid wire, which I got to trace out here. It should be this one right here, I believe, because that was the other side of his key switch. And of course, in typical DPO fashion, there's a wire nut here, taking this wire down under the console to most likely to the solenoid. Yep. Let's see, strip that. Oops, that didn't work too good. Let's see. Alright, now I gotta get another connector here. These wires are not very good. They're too light of a gauge. I like to use big wire, like 14 gauge wire. This stuff here is like probably 18 or something like that. It really is undersized. And I don't really have the right terminals for that, actually. And it's so brittle that just trying to strip it here, I'm destroying the thing. Let's see. Yeah, this is all kind of half-assed, guys. But this is just a test. Okay. All right, so all those are hooked up. Let's get the key switch. So we got our Indac key switch here. Let's see. Okay, so we got our B for battery. Put that on there. Solenoid, S for solenoid. Coil is I for ignition. And that's all we need right now to test this bad boy out. So, let's see. Let me orient the key the proper way. Okay, we're gonna go that way, that's perfect. So, of course, the switch doesn't fit through the hole in the dashboard. It's a hair off. I have a couple other switches. I'm gonna go grab one and see if one of them might fit. But if not, we just gotta file the hole out a little bit.